Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are. Today is. I just said it, and I forgot it again. It's Marshall Monday. We,
Hiya!
yes, we will be covering the last, for now, of the fighter subclasses. Samurai.
I am a guy is the Tracy Jordan bit from 30 Rock, and probably said somewhere else. But yeah, you do the samurai thing. This is probably better than Kensai as a way to play the samurai character, but it's close. So this is from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Like you said, it's fighter archetype. I would recommend this more readily to new players than I would more or less the rest of the archetypes, namely because its third level features are very simple yet pretty solid. And for that reason, I think it's got a good home in this game as a new player friendly, approachable, decent option for just if you want to be good at hitting things. This lets you be a little bit better at hitting things while also giving you a little bonus skill thing. And it isn't solving all the fighters' problems, but it's doing an admirable job making you a little bit better and giving you a little bit more stuff to do.
Okay, I agree with that. I like this one. Let's dive in.
Okay, so we start with bonus proficiency. So this is at third level, you get proficiency in a skill, history, insight, performance, or persuasion, or you learn a language. Don't do that. Take the skill. I'm upset that it wasn't additionally you also learn a language. I'm baffled that they would equate the two things together. It's troublesome, honestly. Beyond the bonus proficiency, though, which is, again, just a nice little way so the fighters have a bit more to do in the early game. They have a little bit more that you can flexibly step out of your zone to be, okay, I'm going to be the history guy. I'm going to be the insight guy. I'm going to, have persuasion be my thing a little bit. I'm going to be a little bit more the face of the party kind of deal. Third level's about as late as you can get something that you're trying to set up as your, role in the group. So this bonus proficiency comes in basically the last moment possibly can. The other thing you get...
Sorry. This has never happened at a table I've played at, but I imagine there are some tables where languages come into play, and that might be worth it.
Nope.
No.
Compared to a skill, absolutely not. Get out of here. Are you kidding me? No.
I'm saying never in my experience, but I don't know how people play this game different ways.
That's true, and I think that picking a language is better than a language of a choice, of three different selections. This is better than just Draconic, right? It is not better than a skill at the 99.9% of tables. If you're at the one table somewhere out there where every single setting, every single group uses different languages, and the navigation and sort of diplomacy between them is very important, and you're not just running around killing things like a typical D&D game is, where everyone tends to speak common because it makes the game a lot easier, then fine. You can take the language there. For the vast majority of us, you're going to want the skill every single time. Fighting Spirit,
agree.
Sure. Fighting Spirit is what we get next, which Bob's got a lot of tonight, as do I. This is you can, starting at third level, your intensity in battle can shield you and help you strike true. As a bonus action on your turn, you can give yourself advantage on all weapon attack rolls until the end of the current turn. When you do so, you also gain 5 temporary hit points. The number of hit points increase when you reach certain levels in this class, increasing at 10 at 10th level and 15 at 15th level. You can use this feature 3 times. You get all uses when you finish a long rest. So you get 3 times per long rest, 3 turns of being awesome. You go, okay, I'm going to do my Fighting Spirit. I'm going to get him. You can stack your action shares on top of that. So at 5th level, you can be like, okay, great. I know we need to kill this thing. Fighting Spirit bonus action, 4 attacks at advantage. And that's a really simple, stackable play pattern for a new player to sort of dive into, to say, okay, I'm going to do something powerful, I'm going to do it well, and not necessarily do to D&D, but just do to fighter, right? If this is something that you're used to being a spellcaster, you don't know really how to do the fighter thing all that much, and you're looking deep into feat build and stuff, and you don't necessarily want your subclass to give you a whole lot of headache, you can definitely just take this and be like, okay, Fighting Spirit's going to be good. I can be comfortable just being like, okay, yeah, bonus action, I got some options to decide. I don't want the attacks now. I want them later. Don't have one in the bank in case the next kind of fight goes. You'll probably use 1 or 2 a fight, and you're going to be happy enough with that. I definitely wish it recharged for short rest. I don't think that would be particularly oppressive, but 3 times per long rest is still probably enough in most tables that it's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I like this feature a lot. I don't know. I think it might be a little bit oppressive for a short rest, especially as you level up and get more attacks. That's
Yep. In the upper tiers, I could see it being a larger problem. I wish,
Yeah.
in that case, I wish it scaled differently. So, like, I want more of these at 11th level and 12th level, right? If I'm going to be doing 3 encounters instead of 1 or 2 encounters per long rest, I definitely want to have more fighting spirits. It being stagnated at just 3, that's not great.
Well, you kind of get one at 10th level, right?
With Tireless Spirit,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to there.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. So that's Fighting Spirit. It's the bulk of the subclass, I think. If you're going to play a samurai, it has nothing to do. Like, I think bonus proficiency is about as close to this gets. I guess Elegant Courtier is kind of close to being like the specific samurai fantasy. For the most part, this is just I fight better. It's fine.
I disagree with you here, because if I'm playing a samurai, I'm playing a John Belushi samurai, and that's what this is.
Okay, sure. So Elegant Courtier is 7th level. I'm assuming it's Courtier. It could be Courtier. I don't know exact pronunciation.
Courtier.
Courtier, sure. We're definitely just making things up now. So starting at 7th level, your discipline and attention to detail allow you to excel in social situations. When you make a charisma persuasion check, you get a bonus equal to your wisdom modifier. Sure. Your self-control also causes you to gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws, which is the vast majority of the text here. If you already have a proficiency, you get a proficiency in Enter Charisma, your choice instead. So if you did a multi-class thing, and you're getting this at 7th level as your second class that would have had you have different starting proficiencies than Fighter, this gives you a sort of fail-safe there. I'm glad they included the text here. It was probably overkill, because if you get to 7th level here, you definitely are like, you're not doing anything munchkin-y or anything close to that. I don't know. It seems like a bit of overkill to include those words, but again, it's a net positive that they exist. So.
Yeah, I will definitely take that. I'd feel really bummed if I got to 7th level and I already had
proficiency wisdom saving throws.
Proficiency wisdom saving throws, yes, and then and so I got nothing.
Yeah,
and I mean, not only does it give you a different alternative, it gives you a choice. That's super fun.
Basically, whatever saving throw you will always get. Well, I shouldn't say that. You will usually get a saving throw proficiency this way. I think there's a feat that gives you a saving throw proficiency, so you could lock yourself if you already have int, charisma, and a wisdom that this gives you nothing. Don't do that. It's gonna be really hard to stumble into that one. It's like trying to soft lock yourself in a video game. Like, if you really try, you can probably make it happen. But why would no one's actively gonna get to that point in 99% of certain areas, right? Beyond the niche cases we're talking about here, as a whole of a feature, I like that Elegant Courtier does a very, very small thing as far as making you a little bit more the face of the party. It starts you off with performance of persuasion. It gives you this little, like, probably +1, maybe +2 to your charisma score. I think that's nice. I think it's a easy way, again, for a newer player to be like, oh, I'm now definitely more charismatic than the other people in the party. Like, you can even have a sorcerer in the group with a +4 charisma, and you'll have a +2. And with the proficiency and Elegant Courtier, you'll at least match them. And that's pretty reasonable thing to have it matter, especially on fighters that care about their con and strength a lot, or con and dex a lot, right? So I think a lot of samurais honestly play better as ranged characters, because then you only have to care about dex, and then the rest of your build can be the wisdom and charisma stuff to really play up the face of the party. You don't really get a lot of other features that care about being the face of the party beyond this, though. So it's, it's definitely not powerful where you can explore, but if you want to be the charming, charismatic leader of a group that is a fighter, this does give you some ways to do that. And because this still isn't that powerful, but it's nice because it is with a powerful saving throw proficiency, which I find to be kind of boring. So having an interesting bad feature and a powerful boring feature stable together makes me a lot happier to take this. It makes me look at 7th level and be like, oh, that's neat. But I also really just care about the wisdom saving throws, and that's definitely going to be meaningfully impactful on my sheet, but I'm more excited to get the first portion of this, even though the second half is definitely better.
All right.
Tireless Spirit is what's up next. So 10th level, when you roll initiative and you have no fighting spirits, you regain a use. I'm never high on these features. I'm still not high on this one. I'm slightly higher on this than most of the others.
What's your issue here? I remember you saying something about it in your written review, but I didn't have time to look at that before this video.
That's fair. Okay, so there are buckets of features that they tend to give fighters for some reason. And it's, if you are out of a resource when you roll initiative, you get one of that resource back. So those features tend to be bad whenever you have more of those resources, because they encourage you to dump them all in one place. Like Battlemaster Fighter is the easy example. You dump them all in one place and you get one back, and you're like, oh, that's not good enough for me to justify spending them all. And if you don't spend them all, if you're good at staging them out, if you're good at being patient and using them in the best windows possible and really maximizing their value, you get no value from Tireless Spirit. And that's the main issue that I have with them. Only 3 uses does definitely mean you're probably going to want to burn through all 3 of them as fast as you can, and then you'll have 3 for one fight, 1 for another, and that's closer to what you were doing before with 2 for one fight, 1 for another. So this is going to feel a little bit better as far as carrying you into those tiers. It still definitely says use all of your Tireless Spirits right now so you can get 1 for every fight you do for however many more fights you have to go through. It's at its best design here. I still don't love it and would have loved to see a different kind of recharge be attached to this.
I disagree. I like this one a lot. I like being encouraged to use my fighting spirits as quickly, well, not as quickly as possible, but I want to make sure I get this. I get use out of this. So, maybe one time in the previous fight when I thought, I'm not going to use it. Yeah, like I'm going to use it. I'm absolutely going to use it. That makes me feel more like the John Belushi samurai that I want to play. I just
impulsive and not patient at all, just burning all your resources immediately.
Yes.
I will say this too. Fights aren't necessarily going 3 rounds. If you're ever in a situation where you go into a fight, it's explosive and fast, you need to use your Tireless Spirits to get anything out of Timeless Spirit. You need to use your Fighting Spirits to get anything out of Tireless Spirit. Mm-hmm. You burn through 2 of them and you got 1 left over. That feels really bad. Because then you're going to be like, oh, well, Tireless Spirit does nothing for the next fight. You go in with 1, you use it anyway, you missed out on resources, you go to the next long rest, and you're like, well, this did nothing. And that's a little bit of a bummer to me. If you're doing 4, 5, 6 fights a long rest, I think this is pretty reasonable. If you're doing less than that, it gets worse for every one you're doing less. D&D 5e really is built around and when I say built around, has sort of grown into the big board game-esque, one night, we're doing 1 adventure, we're doing half of an adventure here, we're doing a single encounter, we're doing some role-playing, we're doing some exploration stuff. And that normally is associated with a long rest or 2, which makes these kinds of features worse at a lot of tables. Not all tables. If you're doing the classic dungeon crawl thing, which are a decent amount of people, this is definitely going to be better. I think it's fine at those tables. Again, this is the best execution of this feature I think we've seen. I don't think that it is... I think we should try to find a better way to give fighters extra things to do. I really don't think it would be that bad if this just said at 10th level, when you roll initiative, you gain a fighting spirit. I think that would make it reasonable. I think then you don't have to burn all 3 of them for no reason if you don't want to, right? If you have practiced being patient and you want to have 2 for the final fight, the only way you can have 2 for the final fight is if you bank all of them for all the fights other than that. If you want to have any amount of resource balance, this doesn't work with that. I think that's dumb.
Naturally, I would prefer it if you just got one, got an extra one at 10th level. But insofar as I don't like being manipulated, but I do like being encouraged to use my fighting spirits more often than I would otherwise.
Let's paint a scenario real quick. Okay, let's say you are a fighter and you're going into a castle to fight an evil dark lord. Okay,
yeah,
and there's 2 encounters. There's the getting in encounter, and then there's the throne room battle. Okay, mm-hmm. You have Tireless Spirit. How many are you wanting to burn in the pre-boss encounter, so you get 1 back in the boss encounter? Do you want more for the boss, or do you want more for the pre-boss, the encounter prior?
Yeah, I want more altogether. So I'm gonna just
suck it up and waste them.
Well, it's not wasting if you're actually killing things.
I don't love that decision being forced upon players to say, if you wanted to be strategic with this, you shouldn't be, because you're losing resources for doing so.
I definitely see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
you just want to burn them all. You just want to go in there and start swinging all the time, regardless of how challenging the encounter is. You see 10 kobolds, those kobolds are getting sliced to pieces.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. You're going to hit them all anyway, but sure.
All right, look. But think about this. All right. You got 10 kobolds. If that's your getting in encounter, how tough is the boss going to be?
It's the dragon. A lot tougher.
All right. Then in that case, Yeah, if it's just 10 kobolds, fine. I'll save up my 3 and fight the dragon.
And now Tireless Spirit does nothing. And we have
I get
reached
it.
the example that I was
no,
concerned about.
But you're talking about swatting mosquitoes versus a dragon. Now, if
It's hyperbolic for sure.
yes. Now, if this was a reasonable getting in encounter, it'd be a lot tougher than 10 kobolds. And it'd be comparable to the boss battle. And then I don't mind. That just makes the boss battle a little tougher. Gotta use your teamwork a little more.
You're making the boss battle a little tougher, is what just kind of formulated from your thoughts there. I don't love that as a feature, but again, we're talking about a very narrow case. I think if you're getting more than 3 encounters out, this is a net positive on your character sheet, and it's a net positive for the game. I wish it was redesigned. That reasonable?
And if it was redesigned, I wouldn't complain. I don't mind it like this. I know.
All right, 15th level, we got Rapid Strike. So starting at 15th level, you learn to trade accuracy for Swift Strike. This is exactly what Bob wants to be doing. If you take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on the attack roll against one of the targets, you can forego the advantage for that roll to make an additional weapon attack against the target as part of the same action. You can do so no more than once a turn. Bummer. But still, it's a free extra attack for advantage, and that's yucky good. Especially because that other attack can have advantage. So, like, yeah, I'm doing this every single time. There's no reason not to.
All right, so what do you mean the other attack can have advantage?
So, Rapid Strike, let's paint the picture.
Yeah.
You use the easy play pattern here is you use Fighting Spirit. Now you advantage on all your attack rolls. You forgo one advantage on one of the attack rolls, and now that extra attack is still an attack you're making on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll have advantage because of Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit. You have advantage on all your attack rolls this turn.
All right, if you're using Fighting Spirit. Okay.
Yes. Seems good.
So the additional one will have advantage.
Yeah.
The initial one will not.
Will not.
Okay, I got it.
Correct. I don't know the exact ruling on this, but I believe, I could be wrong, someone on Twitter may have come out and said differently. Commenters, light me up if this is the case. I believe you can still re-get advantage if you have 2 instances of advantage. Like, if something gets knocked prone and you then bonus action give yourself advantage on all attack rolls, you can forgo the advantage, still having advantage because you're getting it from 2 sources. I think I could be wrong about that. Because advantage and disadvantage kind of weighs out like that. I would expect you would be able to get advantage after, spending it for Rapid Strike again. I could be wrong. And in either case, regardless of that is true, one extra attack roll at 15th level is perfectly reasonable. That's often what this is going to read as, is just you have an extra attack at 15th level, and you will almost always want to trade advantage for that extra attack roll. It's universally good, especially whenever that attack roll can have advantage.
Yeah.
This is like the most attackiest of fighters. And again, doesn't feel like a samurai at all to me. This feels like just any generic person with a weapon can just go to town. But also can be samurai, I guess. That's like a flavorful staple to it. Sure.
This is the samurai I want to play.
Yeah, just a guy fighting.
Yeah, but like just going batshit crazy. Ah!
Lots of people can go batshit crazy, Bob.
But not like this.
Yes, like this. You can put a bow with this character. You can put 2 daggers on this character. You can put anything. Any weapons will work great with this, which I think is upside. You also can play the samurai specifically with the katana going absolute hambo and just wailing on everyone, which is very fun. There's not a lot to say about Rapid Strike. Extra attack is really good. That's just good. If you can get Hex or Hunter's Mark on it, bonus damage, what's not to love? Final feature, Strength Beyond Death. Starting at 18th level, your Fighting Spirit can delay the grasp of death. If you take damage that would reduce you to 0 hit points, you can use a reaction to delay falling unconscious. You can immediately take an extra turn. While you have 0 hit points during that extra turn, taking damage causes death saving throws and failures as normal, and 3 death saving throws can kill you. When the extra turn ends, you fall unconscious and have 0 hit points. You can use the feature once a long rest. I really don't like death features. I don't like features that I have to die for it to do anything. That being said, this one's pretty good. This one is kind of what it needs to be to justify it. A whole extra turn with Rapid Strike and all of the other things let you Nova like this. Yeah, I love the image of I'm about to die and then I just go absolutely ape on the dragon or the big bat or whatever and just rip it to shreds while dying in the process. That sounds delightful.
Yeah, that fantastic feature. It is unfortunate that you need to die for this to work, but
There are going to be a lot of
I don't.
encounters that just does nothing.
Yeah, the way I play though, I could probably get some use out of it.
Yeah, I believe it. Most players tend, like, most games will have you dropping every couple sessions or more. So, like, I run lethal encounters, so very often my players will go down, like, regularly, multiple times a session if I'm running 2 encounters in one session. So, like, yeah, they can get use out of this, especially in the tier of play that you're going crazy. Now, like, if we compare to Thief, which just gets an extra turn for free for no good reason, that's definitely better than this. So this probably didn't need to be once per long rest. But, like, you know, it being once per long rest is, I guess, a fair gate to
And
stick on it. Oh,
Sam,
excuse me.
you died. Just take a rest.
Take a breather.
Yeah.
Back it up. It's okay. You deserve to walk this one off. What I will say, like, having gone through all of Samurai, I think an admirable element of it is there isn't a dead level. There isn't a level where I'm like, wow, you actually get nothing here. Even with Tireless Spirit, I think being the feature I'm most down on, it'll still show up and be valuable at a good percentage of tables that will make use out of it. And even the tables that don't get a lot of use out of it, you'll probably find a session here or there where you'll get an extra point and an extra use of your thing, and that's pretty good. The rest of this comes together to make a very reasonable person that's good at fighting. And if you wanted to be an archer, if you wanted to be literally any of the archetypes, the Great Weapon Master, the Sword and Board character, the 2-weapon fighter, the Scimitar wielder, the Trident spear guy, the Trident net guy, whatever archetype of combat you want to do, Samurai doesn't care what weapons you use. Samurai doesn't care what aesthetic you're looking for. It just makes you better at fighting. If you want to do exactly what Bob wants to do, which is you can do that and be a stereotype and it'll be fun. Or you can, just use this as reflavored as expert fighter or marksman or whatever, and it'll do as well at that as it does the rest.
Yeah, if I was doing this, I would do the katana thing and go nuts with it. But if I was doing this as an archer, I think I would definitely be an elf and take elven accuracy. And I'd have
That
a lot of fun
definitely
with it.
turns on advantage a lot.
Yeah.
And it makes that feature always relevant. So, that's neat at least.
Yeah.
I will.
All right.
We've talked a lot about the pros of this. I haven't delved much into the cons. Unlike things like Echo Knight, unlike things like Rune Knight, unlike things... Rune Knight less so. Echo Knight and Eldritch Knight, I think, are the two. This offers you only skill boons, and only 2 of them that are... One is a bonus skill, and one is your slightly better at charisma skills. And neither of those really empowers you out of combat, so if you wanted to play a fighter that didn't just stab things, this is not the subclass you should be taking. This is not what this does. All this does is say, if you want to take the attack action every single turn, drink some beers, and not worry about anything else, maybe get a cool couple decisions once or twice a night, this can be the character archetype for you. If you wanted ways to move around the map in interesting fashions, if you wanted ways to explore the world or provide your party other resources beyond I stab better, this offers you nothing. So, this doesn't solve a lot of the problems that I have with base fighter. It's still on its own merit as making fighter better in combat, succeeding largely, I think.
Yeah, if I want to do other things, I don't need special skills for that. I'll just do other things.
Sure.
But I want to stab better.
I will never get tired of the argument of, well, you can just do whatever you want in D&D, so you don't need out of combat things to do. It's so dumb. It's the dumbest take I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, well, that's often my stance.
Sure. I think it's a dumb take, Bob. I think you have a dumb take.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Oh, all right. Well, you got a grade for this one?
I think it's probably a solid C. Not doing anything out of combat is an issue for it. I take that back. This can get a B. This can get a B because as a new player tool to do the fighter thing, this delivers on doing the fighter thing. It doesn't have any dead features. It will always give you some amount of excitement and cool different stuff to do. Rapid Strike is great. Strength Beyond Death is very, it's evocative. Fighting Spirit is very easy to play with. I think it, as a new player tool, that it does what it says on the tin, fight better, solid B. It offering you nothing that empowers fighter in ways that fighter desperately needs, can't ever let it be a territory. So B is where I'm going to leave it.
All right. Yeah, I'll give it a B plus. I like some of the features that you're not as hyped about.
Sure.
Uh,
The feature I'm not as psyched about. It's
was
just
there more
Tireless Beard, right?
Tireless Beard, you weren't super cool on Strength Before Death, but I like that one too. I think
It's evocative for sure.
it encourages you to maybe take some chances that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Perhaps.
And yeah, and if I'm a samurai, I don't want to play too conservatively. I want to get in the action and chop things up, and yeah, perhaps look death in the eye and
Laugh.
wail on it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That I do think that, like, yeah, there's the image of a person with just like 30 arrows through them, and they are just like, where a barbarian is enraged, they're just stoic, sword still out, and there's a level of like badassness to that you can't I can't be like, oh, this isn't good. It's sweet. It's so evocative. That's gonna look so cool at so many tables.
All right, well, there you go. Viewers, let us know what you think down in the comments. What do you think about Samurai? Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.